CNN Jeffrey Epstein accomplice and convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell is offering to testify before Congress, but her lawyers say she has a list of demands before she talks to them. CNN's Elena Treen is with us now. Quite the list of demands here, Elena.
Yeah, and I would put it this way, too. I mean, remember, the House Oversight Chairman James Comer had subpoenaed her to testify. And what we're getting now from her lawyers, this is what they had sent to the Oversight Committee. They essentially said that initially that they had decided to invoke her Fifth Amendment rights, of course, saying that she wouldn't want to comply or answer their questions. But then they changed their minds, they said, and are now saying that she will accept this subpoena, comply with the subpoena on many different conditions. I'm just going to walk through some of those for you, Brianna. So one of them is a grant of formal immunity. I think that's, of course, the top line here, that what they're really looking for in exchange for any sort of transparency.
I opened my feed this morning and nearly spilled my coffee. Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes, that Ghislaine Maxwell, the same woman convicted in connection to Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking operation, is now trying to represent herself in court. And the way she's doing it. Honestly, it's almost surreal that she's sitting in a federal facility in Texas, without a lawyer, filing her own habeas corpus petition like she's about to crack the system wide open. People online are joking that she's become a jailhouse attorney, but behind the memes, there's a lot more going on. This move is legal, it's political, and it ties back to years of controversy surrounding Epstein, Maxwell, and the government's handling of the case. Here's something most people miss. Maxwell is filing this on her own. Her longtime attorney, David Oscar Marcus, is no longer representing her. That alone has fueled endless speculation. Marcus had defended her through trial, appeals, sentencing, even taking her case all the way to the Supreme Court. And now, at a critical moment, he's out. Why? Some think Marcus didn't want his name tied to whatever this filing is. Others believe Maxwell wanted a lawyer willing to push harder. Honestly, the simplest explanation might be the truest one. This morning, I nearly dropped my coffee. Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes, that Ghislaine Maxwell, the same woman convicted in connection with Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking operation, is suddenly trying to lawyer herself out of prison. And the way she's doing it. Almost surreal that she's in a federal facility in Texas, without an attorney, filing her own habeas corpus petition like she's about to crack the system wide open. It's such a bizarre twist that people online are joking she's become a jailhouse attorney. But beyond the memes, there's something bigger at play: legal strategy, political tension, and the long shadow of controversy surrounding Epstein, Maxwell, and the government's handling of the case. Here's the part most people overlook. Maxwell is filing this on her own. Her longtime lawyer, David Oscar Marcus, is no longer representing her. That alone has sparked waves of speculation. Marcus had defended her through trial, handled her appeals, represented her at sentencing, and even stayed with her all the way to the Supreme Court. And now, at this critical moment, he's out. Why? Some online speculate Marcus didn't want his name attached to this filing. Others think Maxwell wanted someone who would push harder. Honestly, the simplest explanation might just be the truest one. Her appeal options were officially exhausted, and Marcus likely saw no legitimate legal path forward. But here's where it gets interesting. Maxwell filed a habeas corpus petition, essentially asking a judge to review whether her imprisonment is lawful. In theory, this exists to prevent wrongful detention, but in practice, it rarely succeeds after a full conviction, especially when the person had a trial, lawyers, and already lost on appeal. Maxwell was convicted in 2021 by a unanimous jury on multiple federal counts connected to trafficking and abusing minors alongside Jeffrey Epstein. She was sentenced to 20 years. The Second Circuit upheld the verdict, and the Supreme Court refused to hear her case. Most people would consider that the end of the road, but Maxwell claims new evidence has surfaced. This is where her filing dives into controversial territory. She argues that documents from civil lawsuits, FBI disclosures, and Epstein estate records show violations in her case. Things like exculpatory evidence being withheld or false testimony. She points to financial records, depositions, and investigative materials she says weren't available at trial, arguing that, taken together, they amount to a miscarriage of justice. Now, here's what most people misunderstand. Filing a petition like this without a lawyer is almost impossible to win. Courts demand legal precision, citations, and strict procedural structure. From what analysts are saying, Maxwell's petition reads more like a maze than a legal argument. But one section is grabbing particular attention: her accusations involving Juror 50, Scotty David. Back in 2022, there was public drama when that juror admitted, after the trial, that he had a history of sexual abuse. Maxwell's team tried to argue this could have influenced deliberations. Judge Alison Nathan held hearings, questioned the juror under oath, reviewed the evidence, and concluded it didn't taint the verdict. The appellate court agreed. The matter was considered settled. And yet, Maxwell is raising it again, as if it's brand new. Some commentators see it as a sign of desperation, a recycled argument already rejected at every level. Others think she's doing it for an audience outside the courtroom rather than inside it. Here's where the twist comes in: the timing. Her filing landed just as the country awaits the release of additional Epstein-related documents. Sealed names, depositions, communications, and records that have been hidden for years. Some online speculate Maxwell is trying to insert herself back into that conversation, shifting attention from the new files to her conviction, and it doesn't help that Donald Trump's name keeps surfacing in the narrative, adding another layer of intrigue. He knew Epstein. He knew Maxwell. She's even spoken warmly about him in the past, calling him kind in an interview clip that's resurfaced online. And now, with Trump running again, commentators suggest Maxwell might be hoping a future pardon is possible. That idea sparks outrage from survivors, but the fact people are even talking about it shows how politically explosive this situation remains. To be clear, there's no evidence Trump is promising her anything. It's purely speculation and online chatter. Here's why it matters. Maxwell seems to be arguing that her case wasn't just legally flawed, she's hinting it was rigged, incomplete, or built on hidden material. She cites FBI reports, bank records, and Epstein estate documents, claiming they reveal constitutional violations. Yet nowhere in her petition does she claim ineffective assistance of counsel, and that may be her biggest problem. To succeed in a habeas corpus challenge, you usually have to show your lawyers failed you. Maxwell isn't making that argument. In fact, she acts like her original legal team did everything perfectly, except for the outcome. Judges usually shut that down fast. Another eyebrow-raising move: she filed in New York, even though she's imprisoned in Texas. Legal observers say that alone could be enough for Judge Jesse Furman Engelmeyer to toss it without a hearing. Some commentary suggests the government may not even need to respond. The court could simply say she missed deadlines and is rehashing issues she already lost on. But beyond the law, there's an emotional side to this story. Survivors of Epstein's abuse have waited decades for accountability. Maxwell was the only person connected to Epstein to face a full criminal trial in open court. Many see this new filing as an attempt to rewrite history, or worse, to relitigate trauma. Some survivors have posted that the timing feels like a slap to their progress, especially with new Epstein material about to surface. From my perspective, this filing looks less like a legal breakthrough and more like a symbol of Maxwell's unwillingness to accept responsibility. Her defense from the start wasn't that she was innocent. It was that Epstein's old non-prosecution agreement in Florida should have protected her. That argument failed at every level, and for good reason. Court said the deal never covered her and was never intended to. Now, she's claiming constitutional violations based on documents unrelated to her original trial record. Judges see that as a red flag, especially when someone had every opportunity to raise those issues years earlier. Habeas corpus isn't meant to rig a case. It exists to ensure someone wasn't unjustly imprisoned. So, what happens next? In my opinion, this petition will likely be denied quickly, maybe even harshly. It won't reopen the trial. It won't vacate the conviction. It won't change a sentence. But it might do exactly what Maxwell wants on another level: keep her name circulating just as new Epstein information becomes public. And whether intentional or not, that's what gives this story weight. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, consider subscribing. I really appreciate it.